Let's start off with our special workout. So, we can begin with our Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge of Allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This meeting is now called to order. In line with the Borough proceed by long-standing policy of open government and in compliance with the Open Public Meetings Act, I wish to advise you that the 48-hour notice requirement for this meeting has been met. A copy of the agenda was sent to the Asbury Park Press and local newspapers on February 14th, 2024, and posted on the bulletin board in the Borough office. This meeting is open to the public. Roll call. Councilmembers Bieber?
Here.
Catalano? Here. Gorman?
Here.
Taylor? Lamy? Lexi?
Here.
And Mary Grace. All right, first up, remarks from the audience. If there's anybody online or in person who'd like to be heard, just please state your name, your address, and the floor is yours. Is there anybody online? All right, we can go right to our items for discussion. First one is going to be on every agenda until we close this out, the business parking. I know we have a couple updates. I know Sam, you've been in contact with one person.
Said that she's open to the idea. She has 65 spots. She's glad to discuss it or talk about what time frame or how much we want to make a deal with her. Or just it's an option. It's a good option because of location. I don't know what else options you have.
Well, Joe, I know you have a potential new option.
Well, it's not new. I spoke with Den Holtz Corporation yesterday. They said that they are altering their construction schedule. They were going to talk to their construction manager to see if we could have it for one more year. But that's, putting your finger in the dike there. We have to solve the problem. So the long-term problem may be one or other options. He said he would get back to me this week, so hopefully he'll give us an answer. And that'll at least we could get it off our, at least this year's problem. But we've had a problem.
Right, and Sam, if Sandy Hook could take those boat trailers, then I can also continue on the other option.
How many boat trailers?
11. And then, John, we'll sit down and go through we'll look at the total number of spots available in the parking lot, and then we'll figure out during the weekdays, like how many spots are we actually are open for how long? Like at what point in time does business parking start to infringe on the demand from public? So we just have an understanding. It'll really come into play, right? Like July.
Yeah, July. Yeah.
So from May 15th through end of June,
Most of the lots not filled up, especially the kiosk lot and stuff like that, until June when kids are out of school. And, that's when our busy part of the season comes where at 9 o'clock in the morning it's filled,
Right.
And there can also be a position that we have so many spots, they do it in other towns, that you're not guaranteed a spot, but we could solve a bulk of the problem, and those other overflow are going to have to find another place to park.
Joe, when will we know if the Den Holtz thing is going to work?
He told me he'd let me know this week.
Okay. Because obviously, like you said, it's something that's got to get solved, but if we can buy another year, it allows us to do this constructively instead of rushing.
He said I'll call him by Friday if I don't hear.
Anybody else have any updates regarding the parking? So I guess kind of had to be working on yours. Yours is working for us. Okay. All right, so make some progress. That sounds good. We're going to go on to the shared service with Ocean Port. I know we discussed in the last meeting that we're going to stick with Ocean Port, but I know that I think it's been over a decade where they haven't had a fee increase to us. I believe they're requesting something akin to a little over 10% increase.
They are. I spoke with them. Chris had notified them that we wanted to continue our relationship with Ocean Port, doing our court, and I got a call from Donna Phelps, their administrator, and said, Joe, we haven't had an increase. It's been the same since 2009. That's $78,500 or something like that. They wanted $90,000. I talked to Mike Baskin, our CFO, at the budget hearing. I might be able to try, how about 5,000 this year and 5,000 next year?
That was going to be my suggestion.
So we're kind of in a rock and a hard place because we tried Rumson, who was interested, but the scenario was more expensive to us. And Highlands, who has a new courthouse, wasn't sure how it would work out. We thought it was better to just stay put for 1 year, but now we got the pay by the way. And in all fairness, they're absolutely correct. We've had the same price since 2009, and our volume has increased significantly for municipal court. So maybe it's the cost of doing business. I'll try, perhaps, to get it like a 2-year phase, if that's what the council would like. And
that sounds reasonable. Councilman Keeler mentioned at the last meeting that they've also staffed up a little bit to keep up with the...
They've hired another
pace,
part-timer.
which is good. I mean, our volume due to enforcement has gone up significantly, so it doesn't seem unreasonable, but we can do it in a graduated way, it would be best.
Yes, I'll give it a try, but nonetheless, hopefully we can make an agreement with Oceanport.
There's also a balance of volume on, submitting and filling the ticketing. I mean, there's been a massive delay on that end for us as well, so that's always been part of the issue with Ocean Program.
It was, but they seem to corrected it, and they hired a part-time person to help that workload for tickets, especially in the summer. I mean, February it's not a problem, but July and August it's a problem over there at the courthouse.
All right, great. Sounds good. The next two ordinances, I believe Greg will be speaking to the tree preservation and salt storage ordinances.
Yes. Good evening. I just wanted to go
Greg, can you come up just so anybody out there can hear? Thank you, sir.
Good evening. I just wanted to kind of go through the tree ordinance. That was the one who had has a lot of open spaces, open spots. I wanted to give the recommendations how to fill that in. If we kind of go through that. The second section there, it's 130-124. There's an optional application process. The DEP is recommending. I say we just get rid of it because we don't really have a tree problem in town, so why add more ordinances?
But why do we have to do these?
These two ordinances are required by the state. DEP is part of our MS4 permit, which is our municipal stormwater permit. This is just another way for them to get more claws into us. And the trees and stuff, they're tying that all into stormwater runoff. Because the more trees you cut off, we're seeing increases the runoff. That's where that came from. And of course, the salt piles is because the more runoff and you don't cover them, it runs into the stormwater receptors, the streams, and the ocean. But so I would suggest we eliminate that alternate process. And then on the next page, it talks about the species. I talked before. Recommended species. I suggest we use the county shade tree list. I will provide that list. Yeah, I do have that, and I'll provide that, and we'll put that in here as our attachment. So they've already figured out why reinvent the wheel. And then the other thing was the application fees. I think I would recommend we just put a minimum of $25, that minimum fee for, or whatever you want. I don't think we should really make it an egregious sum of money. We make it $10 or whatever, but I would just recommend $25 for processing any tree permit.
And that's for removal of a tree on someone's property.
Correct. And then there's two other sections. One is if a tree of significance is going to be removed. I don't know who would identify it as a tree of significance, but they're saying who's going to recommend approval of that removal. I'd say it's the governing body. It just makes it easy because then nobody else is going to know it's even there, to be honest with you. But and then the next one, there's exemptions you can get through with these standards on how to remove it and replace it. It's if a tree is a damaging or dangerous condition or dying. I would just say that has to come from a statement from a licensed tree arborist to support that is dead, dying, or diseased, and then they can remove that tree.
I agree with you. I don't think we're any specimen trees in Seabright.
Yeah.
I don't think it's the governing body.
Okay, well.
But then it becomes political.
Okay.
Just make the planning board.
Planning board?
I think it makes sense.
Yeah, the problem is getting to the planning board could be a problem. You want to just make it like a code enforcement or?
That's fine.
Yeah, code enforcement person.
No, what I'm saying is that if a tree actually comes before you, you're going to have people who are making a political decision as to whether it's.
So we can make a code enforcement person.
And appealable to the governing body.
Yeah, okay.
What does it say?
It should be given to the code enforcement official to make the decision if they want to appeal it, that's an appeal.
Okay, that makes sense.
So the appeal will come to us.
Fine. I don't think it should, I think it should go to planning, but whatever. I just don't like political things over stuff like that.
Yeah, the only reason I'd say probably not the planning board, because if it's not part of a planning board application, it would be,
Yeah, but you can put extra things on the planning board.
yeah,
I keep it simple.
And you don't have to notice for it, it's on the planning board.
right, that's true. But I think you can leave it in code enforcement, that would probably nip it in the bud right there, because I don't think we have any specimen trees.
We don't,
Yeah.
so.
That's where a tree study a couple years ago up in it's a golf course up in upstate New York. I mean, we had categories. We had hired tree specialists just to and diameter of every tree species and number of. I mean,
Yeah,
we don't have,
it's serious.
we don't have. We got a couple of scrub trees.
Yes, yeah, there's some places that have real problems.
Oh yeah,
But, yeah,
there's like 1,000 trees.
Is that what,
and then,
in past history, we sent, included some notification to the residents?
yeah, well, this will become part of the ordinance, but I think if we just covered like in a newsletter, to say there's a tree ordinance, a tree removal ordinance now, I think that would more than cover it. Yeah, and then, once you do that, then it could become part of any application when they come in for a house permit.
The reason I said it, because I got a couple of calls, somebody said, no, neighbor, they said, you cut down a nice tree, I don't know why you did that. And,
So Jack, I don't think this is any tree, this is like specimen trees, right?
Well, no, there's any tree of size.
Any tree of size.
Yeah, any tree of size, and it's saying it has to be
Yeah,
larger.
well, what's the size?
Well, they have it. It's anything which is 2.5 inches or up to 6 inches in diameter at tree height.
That's why you have to plant a tree.
Well, if it becomes a problem,
If we need an arborist.
You do.
And they're even well, thanks for your time.
But they're not like rooted in the
I know what
ground.
your advice there.
Right, so the question comes up, what about palm trees that people plant, which then are removed every single year? Do they count?
yeah, I wouldn't say so.
They're temporary trees.
It's
That's what I'm
a
saying.
landscaping feature.
Yeah.
They're
It's,
decorative.
it's not a permanent tree.
I wouldn't think it would.
They're not. Yeah, they're not native.
Hey, that question did not originate with me, but it was a good question, so.
I could just
Yeah.
see it being posed.
Yeah, that would be considered landscaping area. And then the salt ordinance, I don't know if you had any questions, we kind of went through that and we made, the only change that we had made in the recommendation was the fine. The first first notification was no charge. Repeat offender would pay a $100 fine if he had the same salt pile he wasn't addressing. But other than that, that one was pretty much solidified and ready to go.
Sounds great.
Okay.
Sorry, before you sit down, I just don't want to fall off the radar. That proposal for the alleyway survey,
$1,500, I got that.
that's it, it's $1,500. Can we really have that? You should just prove it?
We don't need
We don't even need it,
Yeah,
you're just gonna do
it's
it?
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, the only question as we discussed is whether you want them to remove them down. We were going to ask Rich that question.
Second? I'm sorry, I'm looking at the tree definition. You've been on palm trees, by the way, because it only includes perennial.
Right. No, we had got a quote to identify all the extraneous wires in the alleyway.
Oh, yeah, okay.
And one of the things the guy that I'm going to have identify all these said he can remove any ones that are not live or active. And we had kind of talked about that, and that's the only thing that would be
If we're allowed to do that.
Yeah, can we do that without their permission?
Oh, well, I still think once we identify them, we should, we can send a letter to, it's subject to checking this out, but send a letter to whoever it is and say we're going to remove it.
Well,
And,
yeah, the only thing I'd suggest maybe we send it early because they charge another $1,500 to go back. So I think if we alert them
If
to
they're
the
there,
first
they want
place.
to remove it.
Yeah, because they got to
Well, we
remove
don't
it.
know whose lines they are, and we don't know who to write to.
Well, we'll just write to the 3 or 4 utilities. We got the
Okay.
cable companies, the phone company, obviously JCP, no, we're not going to touch theirs because they're live. But any of the utilities, we can identify and say we're going to remove them if we don't find them to be live.
So could we do that preemptively, say we're checking the wires that are abandoned? If they're not in use, we're going to remove them?
yeah, at least we'll find out the position. But, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, because if we make him come back, he's going to have to get the lift and everything. He's going to charge another $1,500 to go remove. So I'd rather if we can do it preemptive, like Joe says, then I think while he's there, we'll remove him and it'll make it look a lot better anyway.
He's not going to charge extra to remove it. He comes out the one time?
While he's there, he's going to test to see what's live, just a matter of snipping it
Okay.
from one end to the other.
which, is it a dimensional area now we're talking about?
It's that whole alleyway along the backside of those buildings.
That runs parallel to Ocean Avenue?
Yes. And all the way up to the top of those stairs in there, where it's hanging over the dumpsters and over the walkways, yeah. That whole wall, he's going to identify all those.
Greg, let's just be clear on this. I understand we want the guy to come out all the time, but what we're saying is he's going to come out measure it. If there's nothing there, he's gonna cut it, which means there's no notification to the provider, other than, we're gonna be doing this in the area. If we find your stuff inactive, we're taking it out.
Right. I mean, we're gonna notify them, that's what we're gonna do, and if they don't come back with a problem, I guess we can give them a time frame to notify us.
You're gonna give them a time frame
Yeah.
first, and then
Right.
otherwise.
If they don't come back and say, we don't recommend you do that, then we
So it's not gonna be, we've tested it, it's dead, you need to know that.
No.
It's gonna be, we're gonna be removing it if it's dead on this date.
because they won't come and
This
do
can
it.
be like a shock and blast.
Right.
Like notify all utilities.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, because if we tell them, they're not gonna come and identify and remove, because they'd have to do the same thing we're gonna do. And they're just not gonna spend that kind of money.
If Rich is okay
So
with
if everything goes well, because I know this has been a lingering issue, if everything goes well, we send out the notifications, the time passes, our individual comes, tests it, if it's dead, it comes out, and that's it.
Well, the one other step I advise we do is we notify all the residents and home and building owner, all the users in there, that we are doing this, because if they have an interruption of service, we can get to it faster versus, waiting till the next morning, hey, I didn't have any cable last night. So we'll tell them right away, and they can kind of let us know immediately if we happen to cut the wrong wire.
I don't want to cut the wrong line.
No, we don't want to do that. But I mean, that's the worst that could happen, one service, and then the utility has to come out and replace it and fix it then.
We'll play that.
All right? Thanks a lot.
Thanks for
Can you do a time frame?
Time frame for that?
Actually showing up to do this?
He could do it tomorrow, but it's really a function of us getting the notifications out to utility companies. But he's ready to go. Yeah. All right. Good night.
Thank you, Greg.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. All right, number 5 is a cleaning schedule for all municipal spaces. We essentially have a solution, right, Jim? Is that-
Well, we kind of have a plan going into this year. We have a cleaning service right now that does the municipal building, the old Borough Hall, and does the library in here. Our biggest problem is the 2 bathrooms that, on the exterior of this building, that are 24/7 all the time. They need a bigger company. We also want 2 attendants for those that are a male and a female, because in the summer, we can't close them down. People just walk in. They're on the beach, they're coming in there, so it became a problem with 1 male attendant that's in a bathroom, especially in the female bathrooms. So we plan on going out to bid for that. 7 days a week for both the outdoor ones here and Anchorage. They will be the ones that lock up the building at night or that lock up the bathrooms at night, and they will do the cleaning 7 days a week and do this room, because this is the lifeguards. It has to be done every day. It can't be done every week like the other ones can. So I think we have a plan going forward. Last year our plan fell apart, but we're gonna try again. It's voluminous I mean, they have to be in these bathrooms outside every hour, and then they go to Anchorage and they're in those bathrooms. So it's quite the task for the attendants here to keep up with supplies, cleaning. People are tough. We all know that. A lot of sand in the toilets, in the sinks, and things of that nature that cause us some problems. So we're going to really need a company to do that, and that's what we're going to go out to bid for.
Joe, I wasn't in for the budget discussion last Friday. Was this discussed? Because
We did.
a significant increase is going to happen.
We think so, because I told them last year the low bidder was really low. And the second bidder was $30,000 or $40,000 more than the low bidder. And the low bidder, we know, failed us. It was 1 person, 7 days a week. The poor guy could not keep up. I don't even understand how he tried. And it failed. So that comes with the low bidder, but Mike knows about it. We did bring it up at the meeting that there was a big difference between the low bidder and the second low bidder.
Thank you.
So just the community center right now, it's getting cleaned every day?
No, once a week.
Okay.
Just the bathroom.
Bathrooms are cleaned once a week.
What day are they cleaning?
Saturday.
Okay.
And they've been
That
doing,
should be clean for, in my opinion, because people are in there every day.
They're in there on a daily basis through the summer, absolutely.
yeah, we're gonna have to figure it out, because if the community center's open more than it ever has been, we know we have a beach there, and we know we have Donovan's right next door to it. So we don't have an answer to that, but it may be, something we're gonna have to deal with, because it is active over there.
Well, I would even recommend maybe on Wednesday, like Thursday, because you've got a farmer's market in there on Wednesday. Like people are pickleball every night. Like if we're doing it one day.
It's been working, but we're slow learn right now.
Joe, have we gone out for bid yet?
Yeah.
No. Oh, we did?
The bids are coming back on Friday.
Oh, good.
Because, I mean, Heather raises a good point, and maybe when the bids come in, when we look at them, we can make changes. Yeah, I mean, we can only select somebody if we have to add a day somewhere.
I think the bid for the rec center was to clean the bathrooms every day.
Oh, really? Okay.
It's just for seasonal. And it's these bathrooms, they're going to do those bathrooms in Anchorage.
So that already
Because
covers.
if that community center is open, people will be going in.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
Yeah, we're more worried about summer than winter, obviously.
So the cleaning service that we have out there, it's gonna cover.
Seems like that. Councilman Catalano asked if the bids going out will cover that instance at the Old Borough Hall.
It'll be cleaned every day.
Yeah, during the season.
Yeah, from like May 15th to September.
Maybe.
Losing the bids back.
All right, the next one is, this is probably, I'm assuming we'll close out the conversation on this one. I know the current solid waste bulk pickup ordinance doesn't really have any limits on it. So I know Joe and I we think we're maybe just magic number would be 5. We couldn't place some restrictions on it, but not too restricted. Anybody have any feedback on that? I know Joe does some research, but.
I talked to our carrier, Roselli, our trash guy. He recommended 2 pieces, I think, per bulk pickup. I think that's kind of restrictive. I understand his point that the landfill is very far from here. He gets filled up in the truck. They have to drive all the way out to Asbury Road and Tinton Falls and dump it. But we currently don't have any restriction on bulk pickup. So residents have been putting out, when they move, if a renter moves out, there's a pile. It fills up the truck. So I know there has to be some restriction. Councilman Lammy has been working on this. But we looked at a number of ordinances. We looked at brick, we looked at wall, we looked at a couple others. Our feeling is that 5 pieces may be a reasonable number. 5 pieces is a room. You know, a box spring mattress, a bureau, on an end table or whatever. In a living room, it's a sofa, love seat, coffee table. It just seems like 5 is a number that maybe we can live with. But we should put a limit on it because we do not have a limit right now. And that was just our recommendation.
Any thoughts, anybody?
I know that was on the agenda because John asked me to put it on there. So Councilman Longby, I'm sorry he's not here, but that was his request.
Well, we're not going to do it shortly.
No, I know that, but I know he had asked that he put on there to move that forward, so you probably talk to him again and see where he's going.
Do either of you have any opinion on this?
I feel like you've brought it up before. Does it have to do with like the Airbnbs where people basically like clear out a house at a time? That's kind of the biggest
It could be
concern.
anything.
It was also the tenant thing that Joe mentioned.
That's our
I know John
Yeah,
mentioned that.
right. So to me, it makes a ton of sense.
Because you could always put it out the next
At the
time.
next week, the next Thursday.
Right.
Yes, feel like 5 is a good number?
5 seems reasonable.
Yeah.
It's not too high, it's not too low.
Just right.
It just seems reasonable.
But we need to start somewhere. So
Yeah.
All right. So if you want to talk to John next, just give him our opinion and he's cool with it.
I will. I'll give John a call tomorrow.
Is there any restriction or steel? And some of the bed frames are made out of steel. So
No.
they can still get it and crush it up themselves.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's just a white appliance rule that they get the wood, right?
They're trying to keep it simple, right, Joe, so that you can't, weave your way through. It's this, not that. It's 5 bulk items.
Yes. It's 5 items. Steel's one of them. If that's it, it's one.
And no white items.
No, you have to contact us. That's the
They can
same.
register for fridges and air conditioners and all that kind of stuff.
And the last thing, and it's not for tonight, but we've been talking about, could there be a different summer schedule and winter schedule and save money for the borough? And the answer is yes. So not to open the discussion tonight, but start thinking about a once-a-week pickup during, from October to April.
We're talking about garbage.
I'm talking about garbage, yes. Someone had asked me, we talked about it at another workshop, there are savings there. If you want to go to a once-a-week pickup for household waste during those months, and then go back to 2 times a week during the summer schedule.
Have you been given estimated savings?
He doesn't know. He didn't. Our current carrier says, you should bid it out both alternatives, and then you guys figure out whether the savings is worth doing it.
How do you think we'll go over downtown? Like, do you think it'd be on average, 1 garbage trip a week in the off season? Yeah.
My neighbors are pretty big home. Every couple times a week. I think it's a question of demand. Like, can they track how much we do in off season? Like, is it?
Well,
can they give us a hey, you guys are like underutilizing your garbage?
They'll bid it that way. Again, I come from a town. I live in a town that has once a week for 20 years, and I'm okay with it. There's only 1 or 2 times a year where it's really a problem for me. In the summer, whatever. They don't even alternate in the summer. It's just once a week pickup.
I just suggest that we'll take a look at it, get the quotes for both, and see if it's worthwhile.
So I just wanted to put that on the radar for you, but there is a savings according to the contract.
Okay, just a couple comments. So the tonnage is probably not going to change all
Correct.
that, right? Because people are going to just.
Trash.
Do you have any idea what we spend for Roselli on pickup for the whole year?
No, not for them, for just their labor.
No. What do we pay for sanitation services now in town? How much do we pay?
A lot.
$600,000. What I'm getting.
Hundreds of thousands.
Hundreds of thousands. What I'm getting at is the tonnage is going to be the same.
Correct.
It's a savings of labor that not.
That's all.
If it's a 5% savings, it may not be worth it.
That's what his comment.
If it's a 20% savings, it's very interesting.
Correct.
Okay, you'll get numbers for us.
Yes. Well, we're going to bid it out.
Both ways.
Yes.
Okay.
And then you'll make a decision as to whether saving this much money is worth doing it or not.
When does that happen?
Probably in the summer.
This summer.
Okay.
Our contract's at the end of October.
Thank you.
And you have to give, it's regulated by the state on how long you have to put out a bid for sanitation. So you've got plenty of time.
Okay.
60 days
60 days?
for sanitation.
Is there by law an off-season date? Can we arbitrarily say from September to?
Absolutely. Yeah, that's completely your decision, but I just wanted to put it on the radar, something to start thinking about what the residents would say. The residents, when you change from twice a week to once a week, always go,
Yeah.
crazy. I've done that a number of times, but
They also want us to do everything reasonable to hold that property back.
correct.
All right, number 7, borough communication. Heather, did you put this on there? Was this for you?
This was really, I gotta put it on there. This was really, it's our own fault for some of our own faults, including mine. So Candace, I know, puts out a calendar at the beginning of each month, but I think we tend, or at least some of us do, tend to not see Candace's email, or we forget about an event that's listed on it. So then when it actually happens, we're kind of surprised that there's an event going on. So I was talking to Chris, would it hurt to maybe, if there's a special event happening that week, maybe send us like a weekly reminder, hey guys, by the way, this Saturday, this is going to be on. I mean, I don't know if that's a burden on anyone, but it might help.
And that's specifically around events that have been deemed not to be put on the board outside. Like the Polar Bear Fund is an example, is one that we don't necessarily, that was deemed not to be communicated. I don't see why not. I mean, we've gone through this before. That's a whole nother question, which, the decisions have been made. But when there are events where a lot of people come into town and it's only on one calendar and it's not in multiple places, then there's a question of what's happening.
But like the Polar Fund, when that was happening, I showed up there, I had a meeting here, and I'm like, what is going on out there? And there was like a fire truck, and DJs playing, and I had totally forgotten about it. So like a weekly update, like, this is what's happening this week, might help.
Or she can just maybe reissue the same, instead of once a
I
month.
want to make it more complicated. Well, just something would be nice, like on a weekly basis, because I don't know. I think we see the email at the beginning of the month, like, oh, great. And then by the time the third week is rolling around, we don't even remember what was in
But
there.
maybe she could just reissue the same thing.
Maybe. I don't know. Again, I'm not trying to cause chaos. I'm just thinking like that type of communication would be helpful.
Alright, moving on. So number 8, technological upgrades for the borough. Was this you two more?
Yeah, so Heather, Irwin, and I participated in a demonstration of the pilot, which this was initially came to light over the fact that we don't have anything really online as far as our borough information and our files. Everything is still in files. Especially with like the code enforcement and zoning departments. And part of that is because we have people who have been here forever and they do an awesome job, but they're operating from an age where they didn't do things on computer. And we're trying to move things forward, figure out if we can get a proper program for the next generation and even for this generation to be able to better access our information at our fingertips rather than have to pull a file from archives to look something up. So I think we had a very good demonstration with GovPilot. We have an idea of what's out there. It's phenomenal, and we're looking at some other programs like Edmonds and I think there are a few others. Frank is helping us with it. I just wanted to bring everybody up to speed on that.
The next one, I think Joe, you recommended maybe moving to another meeting and sort of discuss now rental borough buildings. I know we've got this a number of times in the last few years.
We have. We've gone round and round about this, about what to charge for different projects. We're trying to rent out this room. When we originally built this building, we thought this would be a beautiful venue for a small wedding or things of that nature, but then it became problematic and we never followed through. Technology changed and Public Works is not going to take all of this technology down. We made it so this is mobile and it could fit in that room, but then it came back to they're not able, our people aren't able to reestablish our communication and our Zoom meetings that we have here. So it became problematic. So rental of the buildings, that was our goal, was to be able to rent this. We're doing it at the Old Borough Hall.
Yeah, that's the next one.
So my point is that I think we ought to have another meeting on that, especially designed for that and how we could go about it, because we don't use this room all the time, and I think we could generate some revenue from this room, but it does present a problem to us. When we were moving this DS, it was starting to get beat up really quickly. Not that our Public Works is good, but they're hitting the corners. It was getting beat up. So we said, no, do not move the DS anymore. If somebody wants to have a meeting here, let them have the meeting, but the DS is here. But of course they want that, and that's what this building has. So we really need to delve into it a little further and figure out how we can do it if we want to do it.
Making a decision once and for all would be a good thing, because it's been dragged on for a long time. But just let me ask you a question. On the Old Borough Hall, prior to its renovation, we had very little interest in it. Now it's been renovated. It's a beautiful thing, and we have a massive amount of interest. And we have scheduling that's got to be done, and pricing, all of that kind of stuff. That's good, as long as we get our arms around it. Do we have demand for this building? Do we actually? This was a new building with a beautiful view. Do we actually have people clamoring for it the way we now have the Old Borough Hall?
No, but it's asked all the time. Like, how much can I rent that? Can I rent that space?
So you do see people asking.
We do. We do. A party, parties, like I said, a wedding that would happen on the beach. It's tough to do it in the summer because this is also lifeguards room.
Yeah, no, it is in the summertime, but obviously I've had a lot of inquiries, and whenever I conduct a wedding, I usually bring right here, and they're just blown away by it. Like, they didn't know this place existed. So most people don't know it really exists. So yeah, I mean, it's not gonna. Even when we went into planning like 8 years ago, we knew it would be intimate use in a multi-purpose room and building, but I think we have to decide.
And during the season when the lifeguards are in here, it's tough. they end their shift at 6 o'clock. They come in here, they're punching out, they're putting in their stuff. So people that want to have an event in here, they want to be here an hour or two early to have the event. And it just, in the summertime, it wasn't, we really didn't think that through as much as probably we should have.
Maybe if we get it on a workshop agenda item, maybe we can just go through the simple scenario of what's reasonable. I'm making this up. $250 rental, and we wind up doing it 10 times a year and we get $2,500 rental fees. Is it worth it? Between disassembly, the potential damage, the technology implications. I'm not saying 250 and 10 is right, but at least we go through a scenario and say, let's just get to the finish line and say, do we like that finish line? Is it worth doing? And come back and maybe decide one way or the other.
Yeah. That's a standalone discussion for you folks to decide how you want to direct staff to proceed with it. But yeah, we could come back. And then it was during COVID.
Yeah.
So when we did prices, if you recall, it was sanitizing the room after somebody left. It just got carried away and we just put it on the back burner again.
That sounds good. So, all right, Chris, I think you're number 10.
I think
Borough Store.
Well, it's kind of connected for the rental, which connects to Borough, which also connects to 8. So 8, 9, 10 kind of all come together in my mind when we talk about renting the community center. Because there are a lot of rooms that are filled with old storage filing cabinets, right? So in order to really rent out the community center, which can be a wonderful place for people to come, where you have the gym and you also have the game room, which is also used for the seniors, can also be like a place for people to eat and like have pizza parties and all that. There's a kitchen right there. And one of the things we've done is we've taken the seniors tables and we moved them to these. So they're more mobile and you can just fold them up and move them away, but you need to put them into certain rooms. So there's your old office, which is filled with filing cabinets. Everything needs to be just like reviewed, figured out what can be thrown out, what can be consolidated, and what can go somewhere else so that building can actually be a community center. Right now it's more of a storage-ish area. And it should really be kind of cleaned out. A lot can go upstairs to the attic. There are files that can also probably go over to the DPW. And then there are a lot of files based on technological upgrades that can be scanned in. That can be just in the cloud.
Yeah, part of the technological upgrades was the visualization of what we have. Because we just have too much.
So there needs to be, like, people need to go. I mean, there's shredding storage, which I think in the gym, there's a back room where there's tons of files that says to be shredded like 21, 22. Like there's stuff that can be absolutely cleaned out, and it just needs a good old, people need to spend a half day in there. What needs to stay, what needs to go, what goes to the attic, what goes to DPW, and then we've got the space that we can actually really take advantage of.
Heather, we can talk about this offline, but when I came on council, one of the first things I did was record retention and review process with Michelle.
Okay.
We went through everything.
Yep.
We went through the digitization process, we went through the file books, and much to my surprise, they have a pretty efficient system.
I'm sure.
And it's well documented.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean it can't be improved upon. The 2 rooms that we ran into that we had problems with was the room off the seniors room, or the game room,
Yep.
which is Joe's old office.
Right.
But I definitely think there's a potential for purging there.
Right.
There's no doubt about it.
Right.
The storage room that's off the gym,
Yep.
we went through that and actually disposed of a lot of stuff in that process.
Mm-hmm.
So I would be careful that we don't jump too far to let's digitize everything, because there's a lot of labor associated with it.
No.
Yeah, and I'm not saying you're suggesting that. All I'm saying is I agree we should find a spot to clear things out, but as we sit right now, 90% of the square footage of that building is the gym, the game room, and the historical society. So it's not like we're picking up 30-40% of the building. It's those 2 little areas that I toured. The upstairs has got a lot of stuff in it.
There's space upstairs.
There is.
So I think there are a lot of filing cabinets which are big. There are filing cabinets where there are 3, levels. The top and the bottom are empty. The middle levels being. There's a consolidation, right? Yeah. 1 is reviewing what needs to be there. 2 is a ton of consolidation.
We did the reviewing.
Yeah, so that's done. So now there's consolidation. Then there's movement. It could either be, some stuff can easily be taken up to the attic. Some John considered a ton of space up in DPW. So again, you're trying to clear and create space.
Yeah.
So it should just be looked at, because once that's done, then you can really start renting out that space.
I still hold that probably 90% of the space is rentable now.
And some of the items that are marked for shredding, we have kept because of our FEMA applications. There were a lot of payroll and things like that that we're just closing out. Correct, Chris?
Yeah, a lot of the stuff that could be shredded, we saved because of sandy stuff, that was still.
It's coming to the end.
Yeah.
It is
So that's
coming
the
to
stuff
the
that's
end.
old.
But,
And the room off of your old office that you're talking about, those are all planning board files in there, which are permanent record.
Permanent. So those could be moved to.
Well, we go in there quite a bit.
Yeah.
It's hard to get in there now, but
Right.
any open requests, I mean.
But that kind of stuff should be digitized.
yeah.
The old planning board files.
But that's expensive.
That
But
would be-
there ought to be a point forward where you may want to do that. Like from a certain date, everything has to be digitized.
You mean new material or old material?
New material.
Well, I think the other point that Mark was making is we want to get to a point that everything new created is digitally. So we get off of this creation of more paper going forward. But we looked at, and some of this material, as Chris just said, you have to keep it forever. I was surprised. 1 year, 7 year, 20 year, forever. Some of the stuff you just can't get rid of. And if we took all that stuff and digitized it, it was tens of thousands of dollars to do it. So we just got to make sure we understand that before we jump.
But from this point forward, maybe applicants in front of the planning board, we could require it to be done by the applicant. Now, I don't know how you feel about that. I mean, a homeowner comes in and you tell them, well, it has to be submitted digitized. That's another.
Most towns do that now.
We don't.
Yeah, I think that's
It's not that big of a deal, but, you know, the old files, yeah, and we can talk about it as time goes by, but they should be digitized eventually, and I know it's expensive, but you can get interns in here, or summer, whatever, volunteers to start digitizing stuff. It
They
is,
can't
but
plans.
we can figure it out. I mean, you're right, you can't digitize the plan, but there are things that can be done. Because, but, again, we will have to take that as we walk through it.
Okay.
So is there someone we can, or is a little team that we can put together to kind of like figure out some Tetris, or we can figure out, can we, I think the goal would be if we can get your old office, move things into other places, whether it be DPW, whether it's in the attic, and move things around. I think that is a lot of space where we can start moving the tables and the chairs into,
That would be just a storage room you want it? Is that what I'm hearing?
yeah.
Does the county have any storage space available for tenants?
No, but they digitize for it. I mean, they have a program, right?
We send it there and they.
Yeah, well, we sent a bunch of records there. Well, we didn't. I mean, it was before my time. They sent all the old minute books. They never digitized them. You have to go
I
down.
think they're gonna get that. It's expensive, it's fine.
Yeah.
But yeah, they have all the old minutes.
All the stuff that's not online is at the county,
Right.
so we can't access it.
It's not hard, it's just.
Go ahead, you want to form a little group?
Sure. Kidding?
Go nuts, yeah.
All right.
But I would talk to Erwin, of course, I should see what this years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, we did a pretty comprehensive review.
The three of us were dealing with just the three of us,
Because
because,
it's still technology.
yeah, because we were doing technological anyways, they wanted to put the three of us on that, we got conversations.
All right, one suggestion, as long as Rich said we can do this, we were gonna have an executive session in the council meeting, but we have an executive session now, since we have time before
The
the next.
workshop, sure, it's been advertised as a public meeting, so you can.
So you wanna do that?
Oh, you can do that.
Yeah,
Okay, so just for anyone who sticks around for the next meeting, we're gonna adjourn this public, special meeting, go to an executive session, come back out at 7 o'clock for our regular council public meeting.
you wanna go in the back room, or, rather kick everybody out?
Oh. You want to just go to
You
that?
can go to the restroom because
Yeah,
there's a lot of people online.
Yeah, it's easier.
What's that, Chris?
If we could go in the back room, it would be better than our discussion.
All right, anybody make a motion to adjourn this public meeting going to executive session?
So moved.
All right, Councilor Bieber?
Yes.
Alana? Yes. Gorman?
Yes.
Kilo? And,
Yeah.
all right, public meeting is adjourned. Thanks, guys, and we'll go to executive.